Okay, what's up everybody? Welcome to the video. I wanted to go over my tips for fat loss. So I recently posted a picture on Instagram that went over some tips for fat loss that I've found along the way throughout my fitness career, if you would call it. So I listed a few things here, and they're not in any order. So yeah, let's get into it. First one, calorie deficit. So what you eat in a day versus what you burn in a day correlates to your weight, your body fat percentage, and your muscle mass percentage. So if you eat less calories than you're burning in a day, your body will use its fat for energy. To find your calories, I recommend to my online clients to track their food a bit without worrying about calorie intake, just to see where they lie, and then I help them make the adjustments needed. So once you find that you're in a deficit, you can monitor it in a few ways. You can use the scale every morning, empty stomach, after you use the bathroom. That's usually most accurate. You can use body fat percentage calipers. You can use tape, pictures in the mirror. That way that you can get an overall average of how you're doing throughout the course of the diet. It's good to not stay in a calorie deficit for too long at a time, because this can result in changes to your metabolic rate and kind of spiral down into a rabbit hole of eating so little calories that now your body adapts to it. Over time, your body will adapt to what you're giving it. At first, it will be reducing body fat. But eventually, once your calories and your body fat percentage and your muscle mass percentage are now equal, that becomes your new maintenance level. So fat loss will stall here. Now, you can do a few things at this point. You could increase the deficit a bit more, and that depends on how little you're eating. If you're having, let's say, 1,200 calories a day, I wouldn't recommend eating much less than that. So another way you could do would be increase energy output. And this would be adding in more walks, adding in more intensity, a bit longer workouts. So that way now you're increasing your energy burn and still eating, let's say, that 1,200. So now you're in more of a deficit. So I mentioned before, what I tell my clients or people who reach out to me to do to find their maintenance calories, like what they're eating to maintain their current weight. I usually just tell them to track their food as it is. Just write down, log in onto MyFitnessPal, do whatever you can to get an accurate representation of what you're eating in a day. That will just give you, your weekly average, and it will show you where you lie for your calorie consumption. So moving on to the next one, we have structured training. Now, once you're in a calorie deficit for your fat loss program, it's really important to try to hold on to that muscle mass as much as you can. Muscle mass is really expensive for the body to hold on to. So if you're in a heavy deficit for too long, your body will start to use its muscle mass for energy. Now, one way to combat this is structuring your training properly with sustaining your strength in mind and focusing on protein intake. Protein intake overall will help you continue to build or repair that muscle that you're damaging essentially during your workouts. Now, if you structure your training in a way that you are focusing on strength, if you were trying to build muscle mass or during a bulk, doing that will help you sustain your strength that you built during your previous muscle building phase. So, for example, myself, if I'm lowering calories and say that I'm bench pressing 225 pounds for 5 sets of 5. I want to try to continue to bench that, if not more, but continue to bench that 5 by 5 during my fat loss phase. Strength will inevitably go down a bit, but you want to try your best to really focus on your lifts and sustain the weight that you were using before you started your cut. That way you sustain as much muscle as possible, because we want to drop body fat, but we want to keep that muscle mass on the body, so that way that you're lowering your body fat percentage as a whole. Alright, so next up we have rest. Now, if there was probably a most important thing besides calorie deficit, rest would probably be the runner-up. Rest is huge, especially when you're in a cut, but even regardless if you're dieting, rest will help you train better the next day. It helps you repair your muscle. It helps you with hormone balance, and getting good rest will make for a better overall day leading up. So rest has a huge amount of benefits, from everything from muscle building and fitness to overall health and wellness. So getting into a good rest routine is very helpful. You can do things as far as wearing blue light blocking glasses to reduce blue light interference before bed. You can develop a sleep routine before you go to bed, really winding down and trying to get into relaxation mode, get your heart rate a little lower, try to chill out. Trying to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night would probably be optimal for most people, and especially when you're on a cut, it's important to let your body recover. Essentially, calorie deficit is a stressor to the body, so one way to reduce this type of stress is through proper rest. So rest as best you can, and yeah. So next up, unfortunately, when you're in a fat loss phase, hunger will happen. Your body isn't getting enough energy than what it needs. So hunger will happen. There's different ways to combat this a bit. You can do things meal timing wise. You can add a lot of veggies and filling foods to your plate, lettuce and salads and things like that. There's definitely a lot of low calorie filling options out there. But at the end of the day, if you feel that you're so hungry that you can't go further, your sleep is being disrupted, your workouts are being suboptimal, then it's maybe time to increase calories for a day or two. This is something I do myself. If I feel that the training session I had earlier that day was really difficult, couldn't get into a good mode and rhythm, I'm really hungry at the end of the day, I'll say, okay, it's time to have probably 200 to 300 calories, a bit more than usual. So that way you give your body what it needs, is what it's asking for, and then the next day can make for an even better training session and help you progress even further. Now, once you have those excess of 300 calories, give or take, it's important to drop back down to that deficit level to continue the fat loss. So next up, and I know it drives a lot of people nuts, so that's why I made the list, it will take a lot of time. Some fat loss phases can take 12 to even 24 weeks. Depending on your starting point, it will be a long-term game, and some people don't realize this at first, and they really want quick results. But if you're going for a sustainable physique, and if you want to lose this body fat for good and really change how you look, you're going to have to, 1, change your lifestyle, and 2, realize that it will take a lot of time. If it took years to get you where you're at, it's going to take, if not half that time or even more, to lose what you have started with. So be patient, use scales as a tool. Like I mentioned, morning weight, empty stomach, that's most accurate. You can take a weekly average of your weigh-ins, so it's not as stressful. A lot of people are really visual when it comes to the weight scale, because if it goes up, they get really stressed out, and that's not good. You're already being stressed out enough from the diet, so adding that stress of being obsessive over the weight scale can have negative effects on the diet plan alone. So be patient, take your time. There'll be good days, there'll be bad days. It's all part of the whole journey. So So kind of going off of that, we have don't complicate things. A lot of times people will see things online where, you know, this diet does this and this program did this for different people, and there's almost like there's no right answer. So what I try to recommend is be as simple and straightforward as you can with the fat loss phase. Whoever you choose to coach you, make sure that the person or program that you're doing really stresses about balance and sustainability. This way it'll help for a long term. The program might be 12 weeks or so be it, but you're in this for the long run. So you want to find something that really works for you and offers a sense of sustainability and balance. If you're looking for help, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's definitely a lot of tips on my social medias, so I'll put those in the description or over here somewhere. And just remember these few things. Take everything as an average. Don't take things too direct or be too strict or too lenient here and there. It's an overall whole balance to a fat loss diet and a fat loss journey. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I brought you a little bit of value. There's definitely more whiteboard videos to come. So if you like it, please subscribe, like, whatever you're going to do. Follow the socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one.